Welcome to Spotlight on the Collection. My name is Lori Stengel. I'm with the Mccloud County Historical Museum, and we're going to do things a little different for this Spotlight. We're still going to feature a lot of great artifacts from the museum, but we're going to do it in a little bit different way. As most of you know, this year we are focused on World War I and commemorating World War I. As it is the 100th anniversary this year. And one of the ways that we decided to do that is putting together our first Soldier's Mail booklet. This is for sale at the museum for $20, and this particular one tells the story of Walter J. Peters, who was one of the first group of young men to be shipped out from Mccloud County in World War I. And his letters are very personal. They've been transcribed and worked on by many volunteers. And so we're hoping to not only share some artifacts with you today from the museum, but also help tell Walter's story. So for the past 2 years in the museum, volunteers have been collecting photographs and transcribing and researching the museum's collection in preparation for this 100th anniversary that we are now in the midst of. And we decided to call our theme for this year, Mccloud County in the Great War. As many of you know, it was the war to end all wars, and we were never supposed to have another great war like this. As we know, that didn't turn out. But it's our intention to tell Mccloud County's story of World War I, how it impacted our communities, our county, and how that then impacted the nation and the world. And as the countless hours of donated and logged volunteer hours just flew by, it occurred to us that the most authentic and revealing stories that we could tell about World War I were that of the soldiers, for without the soldier, no war could be planned, fought, or won. And because so many Mccloud County boys, and a lot of them were boys and men, went off to World War I, we had a collection of letters that had been donated to us that we could rely on. And what better to use than their own personal words? They exist in the form of many carefully preserved and now transcribed letters to and from home from Mccloud County soldiers, their wives, their parents, their sisters and brothers, their extended families, and of course their friends. And in their own words and by their own hand, we see the fear and the conflict, the patriotism and the hope in and between each and every line of each letter. So I want you to join me now as we introduce our very first set of Soldier's Mail by Walter J. Peters. Walter was born on January 31st, 1895, and at the age of 22, Peters left Hassan Valley, Mccloud County for war. He grew up on a farm between Hutchinson and Broughton, and his parents remained at home, Mr. and Mrs. Henry Peters. He had one brother, 5 sisters, and a new wife, the former Kate Walters of Norwood, whom he had married just 1 month before shipping out in August of 1917. With a contingent of 80 men selected from Mccloud County, Private Peters left Glencoe on September 20th, 1917. He was a part of the 346th Infantry, and he would deploy to Camp Dodge, Iowa, and later to Camp Pike, Arkansas. I want to read you a quote. Mr. Peters, right before he was getting ready to leave, he had climbed on the train and someone had asked him about going. And his response, I think this particular quote really sums up his devotion for his country. Some think it is wrong that I should be taken, but I think it's right. I am where I belong, and I'm glad that I'm going. Walter J. Peters. So this first letter will show you some of the envelopes, which, you know, it's one thing to hear the words, but to actually see the soldiers' handwriting. And in these books, we have not only put a copy of their handwritten letters, but also the transcription that's been edited as well. And we have our lovely volunteers at the museum, Margaret Hoffman, who did the transcribing, and Julie Jensen, who did the editing, and of course Bev Swenson, who kept us all on track and make sure it all got done properly and recorded and preserved at the museum. But this first letter is written to Mrs. Walter Peters, which his mother, not his wife, in Hutchinson, Minnesota, from Walter Peters at Camp Dodge, Des Moines, Iowa, dated September 21st, 1917. Dear folks, well, I now know where I'm at. Our bunch is all split up. There's hardly one from Biskie in the bunch. Now, folks, I will tell you a little of what is past. We went to the Crystal Theater in Glencoe. Then we went to the City Hall where they had the banquet, which was good. Just a few guys spoke there. At least we were given a small comfort bag when the Red Cross handed it out. It contained 2 handkerchiefs, 1 comb, a folding cup, a package of tobacco, a tablet, pencil, deck of cards, also a small English Bible of the New Testament, and several other things. Then we went to bed about 12 o'clock. Art Oland and I slept in Dr. Lavenworth's office in a fine big bed. In the morning we got up at 4 o'clock, called roll at the courthouse. Then we went to the train, which started out of Glencoe at 6 o'clock. Got into Minneapolis about 7:30. Had our breakfast right in our own cars, which was brought to us in small boxes, each one separate. Started out of there about 8:30. Then we went on until we came to Albert Lea, where we had our dinner at 1:30 in the same way. Then we went on the way and came there somewhere around 2 o'clock, had supper and such, which made it about 9 o'clock before we hit our bunk. Got up at 6 o'clock this morning. We have all our uniforms already, except a cape and a large bag. We got a pair of shoes, stockings, gloves, shirt, a large overcoat, blankets, rain cape, and now I will give you some idea of what kind of place this is. It's 5 miles long and must be about 2 miles wide. The buildings where we board in are about 200 feet long and 2 stories high. We ate downstairs and we sleep upstairs. There are at least 100 of those buildings here, I judge. A friend of mine here by the name of Marvin Whitty from Hutchinson and I were out tonight. We met Helmuth Kurth. Frank Peters is in this company and in the building with us. Also, Emal Runke and Henry Podolsky. Well, I must close soon as it is nearly bedtime. I will write to the girls on Sunday or so, or as soon as I can. This paper is free here. You can get all you want. Goodbye to all, Walt. Oh, this is my address now. Private Walter Peters, Company B, 351st Infantry, Camp Dodge, Des Moines, Iowa. Now tear loose and let them come. Good night. And that was pretty common of the World War I soldiers. They didn't have family escorting them to town when they were going to leave. Many of them walked to town and caught the train. And of course, the townspeople were great. They threw a little celebration for them. But many of these soldiers in World War I, especially the farm boys, they left town all by themselves and was not an uncommon thing. Just receive your letter and we'll try and answer it right. I am well. As always, I hope you dear folks are the same. We got some hard drilling here nowadays, but everything is going fine so far. Now you asked how much time I had off. We get up about 5:30, wash, and get ready for roll call. Have breakfast at 6 or 5:30, start drilling about 7, and drill a while. Then they give us instructions for a while. Then we drill again until 12, have dinner, wash our dishes, which are a cup and a plate, which is kind of like a pie tin with a cover on it. There's no knife or fork and just 1 spoon. We have fairly good grub here. Tonight we had potatoes with peelings, gravy, tomatoes, raw, just like at home, without sugar, just sliced up, and some kind of hash. We quit drilling at 4:30 every night, and every Wednesday and Saturday afternoon we are off, and also on Sunday. It does not sound hard, but I feel tired just the same. They say we have the best set of officers in the whole camp. About 5 rods away, Arthur Olan is about 1/2 mile from here. The Ed that worked for Jurgens is in the same barrack as I am in here. There are 250 in this building. This is sure some place. We can buy anything here at exchange that we want. I have plenty of dough. Don't worry about that. But say, will you send me my pictures of myself that you can spare? Those on the postcards, you know which ones I mean. Some of the boys here want one. Last night, Marvin Whitty and I were to church services at the YMCA building, where we get this paper. It is free. Those letters stand for that, above where I put those marks under. Here I am, just come back from church. Ted just got a letter from Frida. We are together every evening. This picture is one of the building we eat and sleep in. There are over 100 of those here, 5 in a row east and west, and then as far as they reach the other way, which they say is 5 miles. I have never been to either end, except to go on guard any night, as they pick out some every single evening. So Louise was over to see Harvey on Sunday evening. Tell the folks not to feel hurt that I do not write to them. I will as soon as I can. I had my exams yesterday, but there is nothing to it. Of course, I can't tell until I hear from Washington, but I think they all pass here. I will not send my or our other suitcase home yet. I will wait a while yet, unless you want it. Marvin Whitty is not married, but it is the next thing to do, as he showed me her picture and told me a little about his girl. But there are plenty here that are married. Also, some that have a family. One of the boys died here the night before last. They said he was so homesick. That must be tough. I cannot dress the way I want to, but I am not cold, as I have a large overcoat that they've given me. You must make the best of it. When I get back, everything will be all right. Don't you worry. I am going to write Aunt Clara and Aunt Marie soon. I think I will close for this time. Say, you don't have to put private before my name if you don't want to. See you soon as ever, Walt. Best wishes and good night to all. And that one was written on September 27th, 1917 from Camp Dodge. And camp life had to be quite a transition for many of these boys. If you think about in World War I, these are probably maybe first generation, second generation Americans, and who were born in the Midwest and never had left the Midwest. Unlike their parents or grandparents who came across the ocean to a new land, for them, this was probably the biggest trip that they had taken, and the first time they had really been outside of, their little rural communities. So it was quite an exciting adventure for them, and they got to see things that they had never seen before. Our next letter is written to from Walter Peters to his wife, Kate Walters. And it's coming from Camp Dodge again in Des Moines, and it's dated October 11th, 1917, with a postmarked envelope of October 10th, 1917. I received your dear letter last night and will answer right away before I forget to, as I get so many. I also got one from Cousin Lydia P. yesterday. I am quite well. My throat is all right again. I guess the doctor held it back all right. He sure dug around in there as if he were digging for potatoes. Yesterday I was vaccinated again, one in the back and one in the arm. It makes the person feel bum all over. I don't suppose I will drill today because we never do the first day after a vaccination. How are all of you dear folks at home? I just got orders. I do not have to drill today, so we'll try and catch up on writing letters. I answered Anna's letters last night. Say, what are Lena and Lizzie's addresses, as I want to drop them a line too? I don't think you should hug me so hard as I am quite sore. I hollered when they touched me already. That picture will surprise you. I look sour, not sweet on it. I have not got it yet, but expect to soon. About the pay business, I'm not sure if you get it or not, but that is the way I understand it. If you were a fly, you might hear more than you would stand in a bunch like this. You can imagine you better go to Norwood if you want to before snow comes, because then it is not so near or nice to go on a visit. I will not destroy the letter I got from you for any money, as they are too dear to me. I save each and every one of them. Last night I was to a prayer meeting at the YMCA building. They had some speakers there, and after a while, moving pictures. Yesterday they had a field meet here that sure was good. They had a band, the best I had ever heard. It was picked out by the soldiers, of course. They brought their instruments along. They sure were good. Say, do you want those pictures back, which you sent me? If you do, just say so. They sure are good. This is what we had for breakfast: potatoes, gravy, hash, bread, coffee, milk, and cornflakes. I think anyone can make a meal out of that, don't you? Last night we had a piece of chocolate pie. It is getting better right along. It sure is a dust storm here today. The paper gets black while I write. It'll look tough, but I can't help it. I'm writing on my bunk with the suitcase on my lap, and I'm writing to the dearest one to me I know. The farmers around here have not cut their corn yet. I don't suppose they will. Once in a while you see a good field, but more of them are poor. What are you folks going to do? Husk by hand or shred? The grain sure did not turn out good. I guess they sent John Brandt home on account of his finger. He was not in this company, but he was up here one night. He told us about it. One good thing is that Pa can run the car. That sure makes it nice. Yes, use the buggy for all it is good for. That is what it is made for. Go and enjoy yourself as much as you can. I really don't know any more, so I will close with the best regards to all. Now he talks about some pictures that he gets and pictures that he wants. And one of the things that we are really lucky to have at the museum is photos that were taken of soldiers in their uniforms. And many times they didn't have those, so they were something that was taken at camp and then sent home. And we are really lucky because of Walter J. Peters. We have a beautiful actual oval photo, which you'll see here, that depicts him in his full military uniform. This next letter we don't have an envelope to, but it says, Dear Son. So it's from his parents, and it seems his mom did most of the writing. Dad didn't seem to be quite so good at writing back, but he does get in a few notes here. And this one is from his parents, Hutchinson, Minnesota, October 16th, 1917, Tuesday evening. Dear son, I will now try to write a few lines, but you know it's hard work for me, not being used to letter writing. I hope you can make it out. All are well here, only a little cold, busy as always. The whole family, Ray, May, and Louise, are going to school right now. Warren H. is real good now. He changed quite a little lately. Etta and Kate husk corn today. The corn turned out pretty good anyhow. We will find plenty of good seed. I think Pa hauled manure today from the pile in the pasture. He hauled it just back of the willows. It was his birthday. He and E ran to the mailbox this noon by car. Of course, he got a card and handkerchief from Lorraine. Pa says I could tell you that old Marge and Bob are gaining up. He says he has got his hands full if he hauls milk with them. It must be the new oats. If the weather is good tomorrow, we intend to go to Hutchinson. Pa, I, Kate, Etta, and the baby. It is the first time we take him out. Kay made him a sugar such, which is kind of a sugar honey mixture in a cloth twisted for a baby to suck on, the other day. He likes that real well. Sunday, Frida was home. Henry J. brought her in the morning. Pa took her back. In the afternoon, we had company. Mr. and Mrs. J. Sankin, Mr. and Mrs. H. Sankin, and twins and Elmer P. were all here. The weather has been real nice lately, only quite windy and froze a little hard. Got our garden stuff out, and the girls made sauerkraut yesterday. Most of the work is done. The potatoes are dug, plenty of them. Beans are thrashed and cleaned, about 3 baskets full. A little fodder corn is stacked too. I guess we'll get after that as soon as we can. It's good and dry now, and I'm getting along all right with everything, if just a little slow. I can't do it all at once, but don't worry. Well, this makes 4 pages already. I think I must save a little paper for next time. I don't think Paul will get at writing this time, but he enjoys getting letters from you. We read them to him. He says he understands it better. So just keep on writing if you can. We're always glad to hear of you, and do as you say. Try to do what is right. I think the rest will all write soon to you, and I will close. Hope to hear from you soon. Good night. Your loving parents, H and R Peters. And a big part of what we found these letters are concerning are what's going on at home. And the soldiers are always anxious, especially when it comes to harvest. I think a lot of them, being that they're young men who would have been right there helping on the farm, they feel probably a little guilty about it, and they really do hope that things are going well at home for harvest time. So the next letter is by Walter Peters from Camp Dodge in Des Moines to his wife Kate Walters Peters in Hutchinson, Minnesota, and it's dated October 29th, 1917. And we do actually have the envelope for this one, which is postmarked October 30th, 1917. My dear loving wife, I will try to drop you a few lines tonight. I'm well and I'm happy. Hope you are all the same. Today I was in the kitchen washing dishes and such. We had snow here last night. It's not gone yet, as it was chilly here today and cloudy. I will send you a few pictures, those which Marvin took. On those are Joseph Fitzgerald, Roy Espison, and Marvin, and W.P. Study for yourself who is who. Did you get the clothes already? There are several things in there which I did not take from home, but keep them until sometime later. What I'm writing for mostly is they are trying to insure soldiers here. I think I will take out about 5,000, and it's cheap, about 70 cents, 1,000 each month. A person might as well play the game safe, don't you think? As a person can't tell what will turn up, and it will sure stand up as it is government business. It would take up too much room to explain it all, but it is all right, and if something should turn up, you will have a little to fall back on now. Now you talk it over with the parents and the folks and see what they think. Let me know as soon as possible, as I don't know how long the chance is open. I got 2 suits of heavy underwear today, and you can bet I'm going to put one on right away. I don't know so very much more, and time is short, so I will close with lots of love to all. From your ever-loving husband, Walt. Write and let me know as soon as you can, dear, and let me know what you think about the insurance business. Will you, dear? Bye-bye, dearest. Walt. And I'm going to leave it there now. I know. What happens to Walt and Kate? And this one's pretty foreboding. And of course, you're going off to war. He wants to make sure his new wife, who he's only been married to a month, is taken care of. And camp life sounds pretty easy, but they know what's next for them, and that's shipping off to France. Yes, it's a bit of a cliffhanger. I'm going to leave it at that. But you can find out what happens to Walt Peters at the museum, at our gift shop. You can pick it up. And I'm hoping to bring you some more letters and another spotlight on the collection because right as we speak, our lovely volunteers are working away to put together our next set of soldiers' mail. We also have a wonderful display at the museum that focuses on World War I, so I invite you to please come down and take a look at that at the museum. And if you're not a member, become a member, because we're also featuring different soldiers' mail letters from World War I in our monthly newsletter. And that's a great way to follow throughout the year what our World War I soldiers are doing. So stop by the museum, pick up soldiers' mail, and learn a little bit more about the soldiers in Mccloud County from World War I. I also want to thank Citizens Bank, which is one of our new business sponsors, for sponsoring this edition of Spotlight on the Collection. If you and your business would like to sponsor a Spotlight and be a business member, just give us a call at the museum or stop by and we'll tell you all the wonderful benefits of being a sponsor and a business member.